Welcome back to Wellness to Greatness, Anxiety Support for Women. Let me ask you something. Have you ever been in a relationship that looked right on paper, but felt off in your body? Like you kept thinking, why am I overthinking this? When deep down, something just didn't feel safe, clear, or true to you. So today's conversation goes there. I'm joined by Elana Auerbach, author of The Sure Thing. And we're talking about relationships, attraction, and the kind of chemistry that isn't always what we think it is. Because sometimes what feels intense isn't alignment. And sometimes it could be anxiety, or sometimes it's old patterns and behaviors. And the real question is, how do you actually know the difference? This is the kind of conversation that might shift the way you see your past relationships and the ones you're choosing to move forward into. So let's get into it. It's a juicy one.
This podcast is raw, unscripted, and sometimes uncomfortable. But that's the point. We're here for open conversations and guided moments that help you realign with yourself through mind, body, and spirit, backed by science, so you can reconnect with what matters and build stronger relationships without perfection or pressure. Align, connect, empower.
Okay. So you're an author and a priestess. Did I say that right? Priestess.
You did.
Okay. I don't often say priestess. I say a priest. So it was just a little tongue turner. But I know for many people, including myself, might feel surprised that a priestess will speak openly about sex and pleasure. And oh my gosh, can I just get this on my system? I've been thinking about our interview for a while, and every time I'm like, let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. I'm like, Janelle, get over yourself. I'm like, no, it has to come out. I have to get out of my head. All right. So can you help us understand how spirituality and sexuality actually connect for you, and what brought you to start doing this work?
Yeah. Well, thank you for the question. And yes, it's so interesting about being a priestess. I was ordained a priestess about 20 years ago in kind of the beginning waves of this whole resurgence of priestesses, which is an ancient tradition. If you look in Egypt, in Mesopotamia, in Greece, there were priestesses. Always priestesses of the different gods and goddesses, and having female spiritual leadership, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I was speaking to I'm chaperoning a trip I got a kid in high school, and I was speaking to one of the moms, and when I told her I was a priestess, she was like, "Oh my God, one of my best friends from high school is a priestess."
Oh, wow.
This is so amazing, because 20 years ago, when I would tell people I'm a priestess, they would respond like you, like, yeah, what? What's a priestess? What really is that? So, yes. And a lot of people still, so we're still kind of growing in awareness of what that is. And really what it is for me is I'm a priestess of love and connection. I'm a priestess of the goddess, and I'm also a Hebrew priestess. And I grew up in the Jewish tradition. And what I learned in Hebrew high school, and this is the truth, Judaism and certain perspectives of Judaism are very pleasure positive, sex positive. And what I learned, is that when you have sex on Shabbat, which is on Saturday in the Jewish tradition, and where you're supposed to just revel in being in our bodies and enjoy and wonder of being alive and not do any work. So if you have sex on Shabbat, then you get a double mitzvah, which is a double good deed. A mitzvah.
Really?
So you get like good karma. You're like, building up your karma points, essentially.
Yeah.
So I have always, and this was in a traditional Hebrew high school that I was in. So this was not like some commune in California or something. This was actually in Atlanta, Georgia, where I was, so this is what I learned. I was like, okay, wow, that kind of really opens things up for me around Judaism.
Yes.
Certainly. And then when I trained as a priestess and really steeped in another form of spirituality, which is really about exploring awakening through the senses. Many traditions, unfortunately, from my perspective, teach us to awaken in abnegation of the senses. Like you should, starve yourself, right? You should, not indulge in sexuality or desire or any of these that these are going to take you off the path, right? So, whereas the path that I'm on is a path of awakening through ecstasy. That there are ways that we open and awaken in our bodies. I believe that we are in bodies so that we can experience pleasure, because otherwise, why would we have these senses? Why would we have this ability to experience pleasurable sensation that, from my exploration of the past 20, going on 25 years or so, is infinite? There is no boundary to the level of pleasure and joy and bliss that I'm able to feel in my body. It's really just my mind, right? And if I can let my mind relax, and then the energy flow and the boundaries that where feels like my body ends, and soften that and soften everything that I think I know about feeling pleasure and ecstasy, then it becomes this infinite well of sensation. And it's kind of like a channel that you can turn up, we can turn it off and turn it on, right?
Yes.
And crank it open and just begin to feel energy. Like right now, I can just feel energy coming up my body from the base of my spine.
Yes.
And we can direct it, I can open to, this shower of light that I can feel, coming down from above whenever I'm willing to open that channel.
And when you explain that channel, it makes me think of like the Japanese traditional Reiki, like the energy chakras, and opening up those parts, and I find that when we don't feel secure or safe in our own body, maybe in our relationship, which is a lot to do with our root chakra, which is at the base there. And I think that can show up in how we are intimately with our partner as well. And yeah. And then just for the record, so family, friends, cousins, aunts, uncles, grandma, anyone who's listening to this on my side, I apologize if I share, things about my sex life. And if you don't want to hear it, just don't listen. But what I have to say is I did ask my husband permission ahead of time to make sure he was comfortable with me sharing things. But I find that at the beginning of our relationship, safety didn't come just for me, but for him as well. Like once he felt connected and safe with me, he relaxed. And my husband is an intellectual. He's in his head a lot. And so I can tell even with him kissing me or holding me when he's all in here, like he's overthinking things. And I have to say, we've been together, oh my gosh, I should double check, since 2013. What is that? 14? Anyways, is that 12 years?
13 years.
Yeah, 13 years. Okay. Like our sex level has gone to a whole other level, like a whole other place. And where I feel completely at times disconnected from my body entirely, or I can see sometimes colors, or I'm like, I feel like we're almost like one. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
But I read an article about sex, just to kind of dive a little deeper after reading your book. And I found this really interesting. And this is actually kind of going away from my questions here, but let's just go with the flow. Is that I read that there is a percentage of women who actually fear orgasm. They don't like the sense of being out of control. And I was wondering if you could touch on that. Like, is that something you see often, or what can that be related to?
I think that's likely related to past trauma, right? It's related to trauma. It's also related to our societal conditioning, right? So our societal conditioning is that we have to be in control. We don't want to go out of line. There's a particular uniform really that is acceptable to wear, right? Unless like, if you don't want to get a lot of attention, right? You just wear like muted colors, a certain way of being, a certain, I couldn't really say that. I mean, even like you apologized just before about to your family members.
Yeah.
But did you do anything wrong? No, you didn't do anything wrong. You are simply offering something that may make them feel uncomfortable. But see, we're conditioned, especially as women, to apologize, right?
Yes.
To caretake everybody around us. And, you know, how that could have been said is, if you feel uncomfortable, you may feel uncomfortable. I'm going to share some things you may not want to know about me.
Yeah.
And so you may not want to listen to this episode. Yeah. So
instead of apologizing, just being like, it's not for you, that's not for you. But I just find that the topic of sex, and I come from a Catholic background, and I'm not Catholic, but that is my ancestral background. And so I find, and it's very like, don't talk. It's very about that is very taboo. I feel like I'm the black sheep when it comes to that, because I'm very open to talk about it. Like if I'm around a group of friends, I will openly talk about sex. But what I have found is that everyone gets really quiet. And I'm like, whoa, why can't we talk about this? Like, let's just have fun about it, you know? And then I recognize later down the line that the ones who are really clammed up, eventually they split up, though that couple, or you find out that they're having a hard time with fertility, or, you know, there's a lot of, there's layers, it's complex. And I don't want to offend or upset anyone. And again, this is the woman always thinking of others. But let's talk about sex in a very open way, because it's so beautiful. Like, and your book, what I loved about it is have that sure thing, have that moment of intimacy with your partner. And if going back to the statistic I read about women not feeling safe in control of having an orgasm, it doesn't always have to look that way, which you share that in the book. It could just be that sensual connection, you know?
That's right. It's really, I mean, the sure thing is a commitment to cultivate intimacy. And it can be practiced with yourself, and it can certainly be practiced with your partner. And that's really what it is. And then everything else is you define how do you want to explore intimacy? It could just be standing and holding hands with each other and looking into each other's eyes. You know, I have a couple that I work with who they were not ready to, you know, start having sex just put sex on the schedule, right? No, that's not what a sure thing is. A sure thing is the commitment to, okay, this is our time where we're going to turn towards each other, put the devices aside, and just be with each other.
Yeah.
And so what they did was they started with a hug, and they wanted to do it every day. I recommend a minimum of once a week, but certainly you could have a sure thing every day. Absolutely. And so that's where they began, was with a hug. Well, a couple weeks later, they added a kiss. And so it's just, you take it at the pace of wherever you are at in yourself and in your relationship, because we want to explore our growing edge, which may feel a little uncomfortable, right? When we're doing something that we've never done before, it's going to feel a little uncomfortable, potentially. Intimacy is uncomfortable. It can be uncomfortable because we're in the unknown. With intimacy, we have to open ourselves up, open up our hearts, with another person.
Yeah.
And then we're there. We're in this like really electric, sensate space, right? That you can feel. You might feel your heart pounding, and you may feel butterflies, and you don't really know. And maybe you'll ask a question, make an invitation that may be received and may not be received, right? We're taking a risk to to cultivate intimacy. And so intrinsic in intimacy is the feeling of, I call it excitement, but it could be uncomfortable for some. You could call it discomfort as well, right?
Yeah.
So nervousness, it could just, energy.
Yes.
So all of that is kind of at our growing edge. Each of us is in a different place of what our nervous system is, what our past history has been, what happened in our childhood, how much we've really digested and integrated and let go of, which is always, always possible no matter what happens, to us. Really, I've witnessed that within myself and with many, many, many others. And so being gentle and being loving and being accepting of where we're at right now and following what feels right. Because if we overstep that boundary and like push, I'm just going to push through. And this doesn't feel quite right, but I should just push through. Hold on. There's where the stop sign should just flash in your mind, the pause. Do not push through. I know I pushed through a lot when I was younger.
Yeah.
And ended up doing things that I regretted.
Yeah.
I would get a urinary tract infection. And I'd be like, oh, yeah, that's because my yoni was telling me no, and I was overriding her, right?
My yoni. I love that. My yoni. What was it that you called in the book? You said, I think you called it pussy. That was your
I like the pussy. I like
you like using
you're a yogini, so
Yeah, no, that's good. What would it? Well, because I'm a massage therapist, so I like calling things as is anatomically. So even with my kids, I'm like, your vagina. It's not a flower. It's not your whatever. It's your vagina. And my son would be like, my penis, and I'm like, yes, you have a penis. But then if he says it at school, kids are laughing, and he's like, what? That's what it's called.
Right. Exactly.
No,
it's
I
true.
appreciated that.
Yeah.
The one word that I struggled with that you said, ask yourself, like, be curious, why are you struggling with it, was the word cunt.
Mm-hmm.
And like, for me, and my definition means dirty vagina. So that's why I was like, I don't know if I like that. Why don't I like that? Where did I get the idea that was a dirty word? Why have I been called that and got offended? So I was curious. I definitely brought curiosity around it. So thank you for sharing that.
Did you get to the bottom of it yet?
I think I narrowed it down to when I was a teenager, and I can't remember the conversation precisely or why, but I remember being called that, and I remember being offended.
Right.
Well, I was offended once I learned what it meant, because I think at the time I was like, okay, and then I learned what it was, and I couldn't defend myself at the time when it happened. But just interesting.
Pussy power. That's some of the the most powerful energy on the planet coming from cunts.
Yes.
There's a wonderful book where I really reclaimed that word and was using it more. I just the word pussy just feels better on my tongue.
Yes.
There's a wonderful book called Cunt: A Declaration of Independence by a woman named Inga Musio.
Interesting.
So, yeah, I recommend it because it's really just reframes how we've been indoctrinated to think that, our pussies smell bad, right? They certainly have a smell, but because we have, in pretty much every grocery store or drugstore that you go in, there's a whole feminine hygiene aisle, right?
Yes.
There's no male hygiene, masculine hygiene aisle. And quite frankly, I think women smell a lot better than men. But yet we are indoctrinated in this society that it smells bad. We have to perfume it. We have to, instead of like, no, this natural smell is a beautiful thing.
Well, and this is the interesting part is I remember hearing this. I think I read in a Cosmo magazine when I was a teenager, actually. But like what you eat, you start to smell like. And I started to see a pattern if I had like banana hot peppers or curry or fish. I noticed. So I remember before dates, like 2 days before a date, I would drink like some sort of juice. Like, I mean, allergic to pineapple. That's what they recommended. But I would try to like drink mango juice or something just in case. It's crazy how we have to think about this. But a funny story. My mom for Christmas was trying to find something unique for a gift to my husband, and she found this line of products where it was like good smelling balls or something like that. Or yeah, it was like ball hygiene. Yeah, I gotta find the happy balls, I think it was. I don't know. But
So funny.
and my husband's like, I'm actually gonna use this.
That's a riot. That's a riot.
So there is some out there. I just you don't see the big lineup of products like you do in the store, like you said, for females.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
like, yeah. Yeah. That, cunt is it should be offensive. Really, it's powerful. It's like the origin. I can't remember, but she does talk about it in the book, what the origin of the word is.
okay.
And it's powerful origin. It's not, like a denigration of the female that was adopted by our patriarchal society.
Yeah. It's interesting. I'm gonna have to go pick up that book now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, one thing I want to shift to is in your book, The Sure Thing. You guys have to get this book, by the way. You talk about being 100% responsible for your own pleasure. And this really hit home where I won't go into great details, but like after I had my son, something shifted in my husband where all of a sudden, I don't know if he was just so grateful to finally have a child because he's been wanting a family for so long. But I felt like all of a sudden I was being rewarded. Like my vagina was put on a pedestal and like he was worshiping it. Like it's just that things shifted. And over time, I asked him, what changed? Like, why did suddenly you paid more attention to my vagina and other things? And so he said, well, I think it's just, I knew it was time. I needed to step up my game. And I thought, and then fast forward a couple of years later, and I said, why do you think we are so intimately more connected now? What brought us this connection? And he's like, honestly, I think it's because we trust each other more. Our relationship has gone to the next level. And we've gone through some really difficult times, and so where we questioned if we would pull through in a relationship. So to see where we were then and see us now, whew. So I'm curious, like, what are some of the principles I know because I read your book, but share with the audience, like, what does that really look like in a relationship to take responsibility in your own pleasure or maybe the decisions that we make in our relationship with where we are at in our intimacy?
Well, thank you so much for sharing that, Janelle. That's really, remarkable that your spouse was just like praying at at your, the holy of holies of your body, right? That just created this life. It's awesome. And
yeah,
why wouldn't anybody? It's just an incredible body temple that we have.
And I think it's incredible, but I don't know about you or other women, but I felt after giving birth, my vagina is something else.
Oh yeah, it's not the same.
It's not the same.
Not the same as it was.
And I was fearful that, again, I'm at a whole other place, but at the time I really struggled with worthiness. So I thought, now my vagina is not going to be worth enough. Like I already felt it in here. And now I'm like, ugh, what am I going to do? I have to go plastic surgery, make it,
Right.
But no, he totally changed my perspective. He showed up, man. It made me feel safe.
Yeah. That's so beautiful. What a beautiful man you have.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Wonderful. That's wonderful. And the thing is, I had not the same experience. When we had our our child, who happens to be a boy as well, we, had great sex, and then it tapered and it tapered and it tapered. And we then entered this 12-year struggle of, are we going to have sex? Are we not going to have sex? Built up resentment. And it all changed when I invited my spouse into this weekly practice, because then it was no longer, are we going to, are we not? Am I in the mood? Is he in the mood? Are we going to get the signals from each other? It was now a practice, like I said before, where you just turn towards each. It's like, okay, this is our time. You schedule it, and this is our time. And I had no idea the profound effect it would have on me and on our relationship. And we have gotten to a point, I mean, it's interesting because a couple of years ago, I asked my spouse, we started this practice about 5.5 years ago. And he started telling me things that he hadn't told me. We've been together since 2002, so a long time.
Yeah.
And I said, honey, what do you think it is? And he said, I think it's our sure thing, because I just feel so close to you. And it's what you said, that trust and that intimacy, that inevitably, now our intention for our weekly sure thing is to deepen in intimacy, pleasure, and connection with each other. It's not like having sex, having an orgasm.
Yeah.
That could be your intention. That's not ours. However, that often happens. There's usually orgasms. There's usually sex.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be. It's really about cultivating more intimacy with each other and exploring pleasure together.
Yeah.
And that's it. And so we don't have, it's not that like, oh, okay, we got to get off, or, oh, I just got off, so now I have to get him off, in this whole tit for tat.
Right. Yeah.
And that's where this 100% responsibility comes in. Bill and I it's like a few months into us practicing this, I was amazed at like all this resentment that I had been building up over a decade, really, and crankiness and bitchiness, and it was unpleasant, Janelle.
Well, I remember that one part in your book where you're just like, how did you say it? I just want to fucking hit him in the face or something. There was a piece, you're like, I just want to hit him in the face. And I bursted out laughing because I'm like, I could relate. I say throat punching, but yeah.
Well, no, that tone is like, you might as well be hitting him in the face, because the tone is so intense and seething, and searing. So that whole, my tongue softened, with this practice, just having this reliability and knowing this was going to happen. Then he was traveling and we didn't have our practice. And a couple weeks, and I'm getting cranky, and I'm feeling that the edginess coming back into, my tongue. And then I thought, wait a second, why am I not having my own sure thing? I got everything I need. I got my favorite lube. I got, my mirror. I got my bathtub. I got whatever, however I want. I got a beautiful bouquet of flowers. I got some delicious chocolate, and tending to myself. And that's when I realized I have to take 100% responsibility for my own pleasure, no matter what.
Yes.
So that's when I started practicing on my own, along with practicing with my spouse. And even when we're having a sure thing together, or in general, we are responsible. I may ask him to stroke me, or to, something, pleasure me in some way, but ultimately I'm responsible, right? For making sure I experience the pleasure that I want to feel.
Yes.
And I'm also not responsible for his pleasure.
Yes.
Right? So many people that I work with, especially the women, feel obligated to have sex, or just get them off, or have him come, and so I try and unwind that, because that's all part of our conditioning. We have to please. You have to please. That's part of your responsibility as a wife. Ugh, no, we can shake that one off.
Yes.
Because no, everybody's, men are 100% responsible for their pleasure too. And it's really empowering for them when, when it comes to a point where you feel fulfilled, and maybe he wants to get off. So it's like, okay, great, honey. can I get you some lube? I'll sit here and watch you if you want me to, but I'm that no. And, or, my yoni's saying no. So I'm saying no, my vagina.
Yes.
So my vagina feels very happy and she doesn't want to be entered right now. And so we're a no to that. I don't want to suck your cock. So however, I want you to have what you want.
Yes.
And you're responsible for your pleasure. So I'll get you the lube. I'll go, what do you need?
Yes.
Right?
Can we do a little dance? I could do that.
Right. Whatever is really pleasurable for me, right? For yourself. Make sure that you're not overriding the boundaries. Or capitulating. Oh, well, just why not? Because we start to do that and then it numbs us out. We disassociate, we disconnect from this, from our belly, from our, intuition. And it wears away the trust we have for ourselves.
Yeah.
To be able to really take care of ourselves in a good way.
Yeah. One thing, well, first of all, that piece you said we're responsible for our own, that made me realize, like, when's the last time I took care of myself? Like, when's the last time that I masturbated? And I was like, oh God, I put a lot of my intentions and expectations of having an orgasm through my partner. And then I wondered why sometimes, like, because our schedules are so different at times, where he's working night shifts, I work days. So sometimes we just miss each other, like a sail passing through the night. Right. And I'm like, oh man, that's on me. That's not on like him, And what I do find having what's I like to call maintenance sex, I think you had a different word for it, but it was just like almost putting in the calendar, not exact time, but around this day. And so we're both anticipating it. We don't know when it's going to happen. That really helped. So that way we had like a sure thing that day. Because if he took care of himself beforehand, he's a one and done, then me, on the other hand, I can go a second, third time, whatever.
Yep.
So I had to make sure that he was available for me on those days as well. And then we both anticipated it. It built up this like pressure. And sometimes it would happen the day before because we're anticipating it so much that we're too excited to wait, Yeah. So I love that, taking responsibility of our own. And the other thing too is communicating. I found you brought this up too, but communicating our needs to our partner. So for me with him, if I was open to connection, intimacy, but I just didn't think I was able to release and fully be present, I would tell him ahead of time. And that way it took the expectation of him feeling like he had to keep going to get me going. Do you know what I mean? So if I said, okay, that's good, let's move on, he doesn't get insulted, or I'm not insulted, there's no expectation. But I felt that once I did that, I'm more likely to let go and enjoy myself, right? So it was almost like I'm putting this thing, it's not going to happen, hun. And then boom, it happens. Because I took that pressure off my mind. I got out of my head.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the whole thing, is not having a goal-oriented anything. It's just how much pleasure can I feel with each stroke? And then we space out and then we come back. Oh, wait a second. Oh, wait, hold on. I got to, do that again. That feels better. No, move to the left a little.
Yes.
Just feeling how much can I feel right now instead of like reaching. And sometimes, I get myself off often, regularly. I love it. I have my favorite lube called Yoni Flower Butter by the Garden of Eden.
Yoni Flower Butter. I love that.
It's edible. It's
oh my gosh. Can you send me the link?
Absolutely. I absolutely will. And I have it in my nightstand. I take it with me when I travel because I just always like to have it around. Even if just a few strokes, it's very nourishing to the delicate folds of the yoni, as it says on the label. And so sometimes I'm just wanting to that release. And like a friend of mine's like just rubbing one out, you just want to rub one out. You just rub it out. Okay.
Yeah. Flick the bean.
Right. So that's good. That's fine. That's great. That's wonderful. And there's other times when you just want to surrender to the stroke. And like you said, when there's no pressure to perform anything, to get anywhere other than here, how much pleasure can we experience together right here, right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I loved what you said. And it's the same thing with the sure thing of the buildup and anticipation, like the sizzle that happens when you have a regular. A lot of people are like, oh, that's so not spontaneous. And it just takes the whole, sexy turn on out of, getting together with your spouse. It's like, actually, I found it to be the exact opposite. Because it's something that then you look forward to. It's like when you first start seeing somebody and you don't see them all the time, right? But you've got a date in 2 days and then you're just fantasizing about it.
Yes.
This becomes the same kind of thing where, it's like, oh, honey, we send texts to each other, just in anticipation of our sure thing time. So it's.
Yes. And there's flirtation, because you know it's coming up, but we're waiting for the right moment where either the kids are gone or whatever. And
that's right.
And the flirtation can be just as rewarding, I find, working our way up to it.
That's right. Well, and that's all part of the intimacy and being connected and staying connected, with our partners, through the mundaneness of all the different tasks we have, all of our responsibilities, taking care of family members, doing our jobs and so forth, taking care of the house. So it just adds a little sparkle and, zing.
Yes.
And why not? And pleasure. And it softens. I mean, it just softens me, softens my heart, softens my tongue. And then everything is more pleasurable.
Yes.
Right.
What's that saying? Happy wife, happy life.
Right. No, it's so true. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, and yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
So we're going to pause here. But honestly, this is where things start to get even more real. Because in part 2, we move into conversations around shame, sexuality, and the deeper conditioning that shapes how we show up in relationships, often without even realizing it. And this part, it might challenge you in a completely different way. So if you found yourself reflecting, questioning, or even feeling a little called out in this episode, you're going to want to keep going. And you're going to want to learn more what we have to say in part 2. So I'll meet you there next week on Wednesday. And don't forget to hit the follow button. If you want to hear more like this from guest interviews or even some solo episodes from me, to just get different mindset shifts. That's a mouthful. Mindset shifts, perspectives. Then definitely hit the follow button. Sometimes it takes a few episodes just to get a feel if this is the right fit for you. You can find me on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or Amazon Music. And if you want to ever send me a message, check me out on Instagram at Wellness to Greatness. All right. Love you guys, and I'll catch you next week.